Hi friends, author Yvonne Kohano here to discuss pen names, what pen names might mean and why authors select pen names in the first place. My first issue with a pen name came when I attended my first Romance Writers of America national conference. I used my own name, my birth name, which has 11 letters in the last name, and it's difficult to pronounce. It isn't pronounced the way it's spelled. And one of my good friends in RWA came up to me and looked at my name and said, "So, dear, what pen name are you going to select?" She said it in the nicest possible way. But that gave me a clue that perhaps my name wasn't going to work much as I wanted it to for my pen name. Pen names are really interesting. You think that now we have people who use pen names, but it's happened throughout history. Ben Franklin used pen names. He used names like Alice Attertongue and Silence Dogood and Anthony Afterwit. He wrote political satire, and he was trying to expose certain points about either government or society. And he used his pen name to be able to underscore some of those points, as well as get into some journals that wouldn't necessarily allow Ben Franklin to be publishing under their masthead. Others have written under pen names because they fear persecution. George Orwell was actually Eric Arthur Blair. He wrote 1984 and Animal Farm, and he wrote some fairly critical pieces about society and about government. But he used his pen name, George Orwell, to do that so that, again, he can protect himself as well as get his point across. There have been other pen names that have personal meaning to the authors. Mark Twain. Samuel Clemens used Mark Twain as a callback to his roots as a steamboat captain on the Mississippi. Mark Twain is actually a steamboat term that means 2 fathoms, deep enough for a steamboat to go through. So he used that as his pen name from the time that he first began writing for newspapers. Others use pen names because they got in trouble. Theodore Geisel is actually Dr. Seuss, and Seuss is his middle name. He was fired as the editor of his college magazine, and because he had a very raging, wild party during Prohibition. So the only way he could write for the magazine was using his name, Seuss. And the doctor was a pun towards his father, who always wanted him to become a medical doctor. There are other reasons for pen names, and one of the principal ones over time has been to hide gender. For many years, women were writing, but women weren't allowed to be published, or the only thing that they were allowed to publish were lighthearted, humorous pieces or romances. To be taken seriously, many women changed their names to a male name and published under that male name. The Bronte sisters all took the last name Bell and took male first names, A, B, and C, to parallel to their own names. We also have like George Eliot, who was Mary Ann Evans. In Victorian times, she wrote under the name George Eliot. And you think that this is something that happened way back when, but today it still happens. J.K. Rowling's publisher didn't think that her Harry Potter series would be taken as seriously if she wrote under her own name, Joanna. So her name became J.K. Rowling. The K means absolutely nothing. She doesn't have a middle initial. But it was something that they felt was important for her Harry Potter series to become something that's taken seriously. Sometimes people use pen names to hide political issues or special ops issues, CIA issues, people who really can't reveal their own personal identity. And finally, there are some situations where authors use pen names because they're changing their genre. So romance writer Nora Roberts, who's very, very famous, writes her erotic thrillers under J.D. Robb. She's also famous as J.D. Robb. But again, it's a very different style, and if she released those same kinds of books under Nora Roberts, would really confuse a lot of her readers, because the style is very different. So back to my own pen name. When it came time to pick that pen name, I tried shortening my last name. That didn't work. because it's a very common name to be shortened. When people immigrated to the U.S. from Poland, they shortened their name that way, so that didn't work. It was very common. I tried things that had different meanings. What I finally settled on was Kohano, which in Polish means loved. And since I write romance, romantic suspense, and suspense, I'm thinking that that's going to work. Though I'm kind of concerned now because when I start releasing my true suspense series, is Kohano still going to make any sense? And then also, what kinds of issues will come up if I change my name and I have to have people find me again? So hope that gave you a little bit of background about pen names and why they're important. And enjoy. Look up your favorite author and see if they really are the person that you think.